So it's about that time for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Yeah. And I know what you're saying to yourself. Jeff, you really outdid yourself last week. You missed on all 4 wild card games, and I absolutely did. I was close to getting all 4 right, and even closer to getting all 4 wrong. I mean, was it really that bad? Who would have anticipated the Bills would give up a 16-point halftime lead, and then that game would still go to overtime? Who would have anticipated Ryan Tannehill throws for under 100 yards, but yet the Patriots and Bill Belichick can't figure out a way to stop Derrick Henry, and they go into Foxborough and win? Like, you'd have at least thought Tannehill would have had to do something productive in that game, and he didn't. And it didn't matter. You probably would have thought, hey, the Saints are at home. It's tough to win there, especially in the playoffs. You would think it'd be a team on a mission. And then the Vikings are up on them double digits in the fourth quarter, only for the fucking Saints to come back, force overtime, and then for the dang team with which they're getting screwed in the previous year's NFC Championship game leads to a pass interference review ability to be put in to the rule book, only to not actually utilize that on a game-deciding, overtime-winning touchdown. And then you flip over to the freaking Eagles-Seahawks game, and where you think, gee, maybe, just maybe, the Eagles can get a little home magic here, and Carson Wentz is going out early because he gets vicious shot in the back of the head by Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, I'm sorry, sometimes you just can't predict some of the craziness that happened. And last week was a lot of fun, but I look like an idiot. So this week, let's see if I can look less like an idiot, or maybe more so, I'll mix in a little bit of the old Jeff jinx. What do you think? Because I'm certain Eagles fans can't be happy with me. Carson Wentz finally makes it to a playoff game and doesn't get out of the first half. And then in the second half, apparently Josh McCown, who replaced him in the game, tore his hamstring from the bone. If you don't think this Jeff Jinx thing is real, then you got another thing coming. So just think about it like this. Do you want me to pick against your team? Probably. Because if you're going to sit there and complain that I didn't pick your team, how does that work for a lot of people this year? Just saying. So let's see if I can get even close to remotely right here. Let's look at these 4 divisional round matchups, starting off with the earlier Saturday matchup. You got the Vikings traveling to the 49ers as 7-point dogs. Minnesota, of course, coming off of that overtime victory in New Orleans in the wild card round last week. The 49ers coming in this game fresh. They had all of their 53-man roster actually practice this week, which feels like a miracle for them. Best record in the NFC, 13-3, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. It's a really interesting time here for the 49ers, excuse me, as they took advantage of kind of the softer early season schedule that they had. And let's be honest here. Yeah, they had injuries and so forth, certainly. And Garoppolo had some pretty good games, and he had a couple of clunkers kind of mixed in there too. But in their last 5 games, they were only 3-2. Their defense was starting to get eaten up a little bit. So while they're the number 1 seed, this is one of these danger matchups where you say to yourself, okay, number 1 seed gets a first-round bye. You have questions maybe about the quarterback, questions about the health of some of the players, specifically in the defense. The strength of their team was the defense, and they didn't play as well the last month of the year. How much do you really believe in them? This is a chance to be a real statement game in the field of genes for the San Francisco 49ers. It's a chance to be a real statement game to come out and say, no, we are contenders. No, we are legit. The number 1 overall seed in the 13-3 record prove that we are legit. And if you don't believe it, we are going to prove it on Saturday, excuse me. I can't even get the days right now. I'm all discombobulated. Whereas the Vikings, you kind of come into this now. You went into New Orleans and won a playoff game on the road that most people thought you were dead to rights on. You were going to lose and thought you were going to lose big. So if anything for the Vikings, it's potentially liberating because they don't have the pressure of expectation of the 49ers. They can just go out there and play. You could make an argument Kirk Cousins has gotten over some of the talk, at least a little bit, about he can't show up in the big game. Because while he wasn't phenomenal against the Saints last Sunday, he made some big throws when the team needed him. They don't need him to be a superstar. They just need him to make a couple of those big plays happen, those big throws down the field to his weapons outside and Thielen and Diggs, assuming Thielen's actually going to be able to play with the ankle problem. You just need to be able to get a couple of big plays to happen. I look at this matchup, and, a wild card team like the Vikings, a 6 seed being able to go on the road and win like that, could be a foretelling of them having a little bit of momentum. Still, though, maybe it's a little bit of doubt for me that the Vikings will be able to have great success with Dalvin Cook and Madison running the ball against this 49ers defense, which should be a lot healthier than it was to close out the season. And maybe it's more so the fact, just because I want to put the old Jeff jinx on the 49ers, I'm going to pick the 49ers by 3. You wanted me to respect your team all year, 49ers fans? Well, here you go. You better pucker up on your butthole and hold on, because it's about to be a bumpy ride on Saturday afternoon. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Then the late game on Saturday, you got the Titans traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Titans, of course, coming off of that wild card round victory at Gillette Stadium over the New England Patriots, where Baltimore comes into this having won their last 14 games in a row with the best record in the National Football League, number 1 seed, off of a bye week, home field advantage throughout the playoffs, lethal running game with Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram, a defense that's been playing top shelf all year for the most part. You look at this Ravens team, and sure, you may have some questions about whether Lamar Jackson will be able to continue this kind of torrid pace in the playoffs like he had in the regular season. Then you wonder, hey, the Titans were able to beat the Patriots and got almost nothing out of Tannehill. If they get even a little bit out of Tannehill in this game, and the Ravens struggle to stop Derrick Henry, this Titans team could be dangerous. And I certainly think the Titans team is dangerous. And I feel like almost that this 10-point spread could potentially be viewed as dangerous. I'm surprised there's so much money moving on to the Ravens, especially with the spread getting that big. That said, I want to believe, and I don't want to put the Jeff jinx on, I really don't, and I sure as hell hope that's not the case, but I really want to believe that this is going to be Lamar getting some revenge, rebounding from last year's mostly disappointing performance in the wild card round against the Chargers. It's a whole different environment. He's the MVP of the league. He's the man! And he wants to go out there, and his Ravens teammates want to go out there, Mark Ingram and the like, and they want to put a whooping on the Tennessee Titans. They want to make a statement that the road to the Super Bowl goes through them in Baltimore. I like the Ravens big in this game. Give me the Ravens by 17. Then you flip over to the Sunday action. You start off with the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yay! Deshaun Watson versus Patrick Mahomes. The Trail of Bears fans' tears game is what the heck we should call it. The Trubisky Bowl. Could have had either one of them, got neither one of them. Ain't that fascinating? But at least in this matchup, it's a rematch of a regular season game that was held earlier in the year that the Houston Texans won 31-24. If you remember, Deshaun Watson had a couple of touchdowns rushing. You got Houston coming off of that crazy victory over Buffalo in the wild card round. Looking back at that regular season matchup, Carlos Hyde had over 100 yards on the ground, which was a key to their success in that game. I will say this, though, from the Chiefs' standpoint, this Chiefs team has seemed to have found itself in recent weeks heading into the playoffs. They've got a week off, been able to rest and recuperate, and you look at this situation and you say, okay, this is a team that made it to the AFC Championship game last year, made it to overtime in the AFC Championship game last year, so they have playoff experience. They have a quarterback that can go toe-to-toe with Deshaun Watson and, frankly, is a little better than Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. I don't mean that as a slight against Watson. I'm just saying that it is what it is. But I look at this. The Chiefs' defense has been playing better since December. They played actually really well in December. And when I look at this right now, as much as I want to love the Ravens and I want to be behind Lamar Jackson, you would look at this in theory, and Chiefs fans, again, hold on and pucker up your whole rings. I just think the Chiefs are a lot better than the Texans at this stage of the season. I trust Andy Reid. I can't believe I'm saying this. I trust Andy Reid more in this scenario than I do a Bill O'Brien, certainly. I think the Chiefs are the premier team in the AFC, even though their road to the Super Bowl potentially would have to go through Baltimore. I like the Chiefs in this game. They're favored by 9.5. I'll take Kansas City -6, or to win by 6. So maybe the Texans can get some type of backdoor cover or something. And then the last game, late on Sunday afternoon, you've got the Seahawks. Winners last week in the wild card round against a battered and disheveled Philadelphia Eagles team, traveling into Green Bay to take on the Packers. The Packers are 4.5-point favorites here, which I guess makes sense. They have rest. They have Aaron Rodgers, even though he hasn't been the Aaron Rodgers of old that we would expect this year. More balanced team, better on defense, better with Aaron Jones in that running game. You look at this and you say, okay, with the Green Bay Packers, they're either a team that is built to make a deep run and it's less dependent upon Aaron Rodgers, or it is a team that has been able to kind of coast through the year, got to 13-3, wasn't really challenged, figured out how to win in the regular season, but maybe it feels somewhat like it's smoke and mirrors. And now when it gets to playoff time, this is when it's going to matter, and the Packers are going to be exposed a little bit for not being as good as you might think they are. I really don't know what to make out of this Packers team. Like, on the one hand, they're 13-3. They got a first-round bye. They got to at least be viewed as somewhat legit, but there's always been that nagging part of me that says, God dang, man. You look at them, and just something feels like it's missing. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's just hard to fully buy in and believe in them. And before you say, well, you're a Bears fan, so of course you're going to say that. The reality is, at this point, if I really wanted my Chicago Bears to get the message, I would want Minnesota and Green Bay to win so they go on to the NFC Championship game, so that way one of them is guaranteed to go to the Super Bowl. That would cause bigger issues. That would cause a reevaluation, I would hope, of everything being done in that organization. I don't want to see, let's say 49ers and Seahawks in a rematch. Does nothing for me. Doesn't move the needle at all. Vikings, Packers, certainly moves that damn needle. As far as the Seahawks, you look at them. They had the wild card win, like I said, in Philly last week. Just enough to get done. Their defense showed up very nicely, though. I think they had 7 sacks. Jadeveon Clowney had a good game. He got just enough out of Russell Wilson in that passing game, specifically DK Metcalf. Although I will say they will need to do a better job of running the ball against Green Bay on the road in Lambeau if they expect to win. That said, this is still a team in the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner. They have playoff experience, championship experience. They have a championship head coach in Pete Carroll. This is not a situation that's going to intimidate them. And these are teams that have faced each other several times in recent years. Actually, begun, I think, feel like a little bit of a rivalry in the league. Certainly not up to the level, let's say, Cowboys-Packers, which only got more interesting with the Mike McCarthy hire, but nonetheless. You've seen these teams face off a few times in recent years. I look at this matchup and I say, I trust Russell Wilson in this spot more than I do Aaron Rodgers. Man, that's crazy. But I totally do. I wonder how the Packers are going to be able to figure out how to defend DK Metcalf on the outside. I look at the Packers in their passing game, and Aaron Rodgers hasn't been quite the same. And outside of Devontae Adams, what else do they really, truly have on the outside that you have to game plan for is really going to scare you? I like the Seahawks to win in an upset. Give me the Seahawks plus the 3. So those are my picks. We can come back Sunday, and you can either praise me for being right or curse me for having put the old-fashioned Jeff Jinx on your team one more time in 2019.